Sophie Cunningham is everywhere, going crazy in the new day here. You know damn well you wouldn't be all in these commercials, face everywhere, if you was playing for the Minnesota Lynx. It's fire. This is fire. I like this. They got her name in it, extra spicy. Nah, show in the box score. And some of the things Sophie did don't show in the box score. That energy, that tenacity, the feistiness, that when things hit the fan, she was down and ready to go, ready to fight for Caitlin Clark. We need more of that.
You even played in high school for a game. So what's your thought on tonight's matchup?
Everywhere. That's the only word to describe where Sophie Cunningham is right now. She just popped up in a brand new Adidas commercial with Damian Lillard. She sat down on Good Morning America. Her sneakers are blowing up all over social media. Here's my take though. This isn't some random hype train. This is a real, fast-moving media run happening in the middle of the off-season for a bench player. And that's the part people are sleeping on. This isn't just a personality story. This is a business story. Sophie is turning attention into actual paid deals, and she's doing it faster than most full-time starters in this league ever managed. So let's pull on that thread and see exactly how she's pulling this off.
I have to say it, y'all already know the blonde bomber is everywhere. One of the members of Tres Leches, Indiana Fever's own black belt. Black belt, the only one that's down to squabble up and fight for Caitlin Clark. Sophie Cunningham is everywhere, going crazy in the new Damian Lillard Adidas commercial. I see her with the sneakers everywhere. I see Sophie Cunningham everywhere doing her thing. Good Morning America.
Sophie needs to stay right where she is, next to Caitlin Clark on the Indiana Fever. And honestly, that's not me exaggerating for clicks. Being that close to the biggest attention magnet in the WNBA is doing real, measurable work for her market value. You can literally watch it happening. So if she walks away from that spotlight in free agency, she's not just missing out on some good vibes. She's walking away from actual cash.
Things like this are just one of the reasons why you need to make sure you stay with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. Let's not play no games. Let's get right into it. Sophie Cunningham.
People joke that Sophie's doing as much off-season work as Caitlin Clark herself, hosting BET Awards, popping up at an NBA YoungBoy concert. Sure, those are jokes, but jokes like that usually point at something real. Right now, Cunningham's crossover appeal is going way past normal WNBA endorsement territory, and that's rare air. Nobody else in this league is breathing it, except Clark herself. That's worth sitting with for a second, because it really is that unusual. Now, before we get into the free agency math,
has been doing just as much off-season work as Caitlin Clark at this point. She been getting busy this off-season, y'all. Bro, we liable to see Sophie Cunningham hosting a damn BET award. Hey, Sophie Cunningham gonna be at the next NBA YoungBoy concert. Yeah, I've been in my bag. I've been showing my...
Let's just say the blunt version out loud. And honestly, I don't think it's wrong. You don't get this kind of commercial run playing for the Minnesota Lynx. You don't get it back with the Phoenix Mercury. You don't get it with the Atlanta Dream either. Being next to Caitlin Clark is doing real work here. Full stop. And look, that's not a knock on Cunningham's talent. It's just how attention works in a league where one player is still moving almost the entire mainstream needle.
Sophie, let's be real here. You know damn well you wouldn't be all in these commercials, face everywhere, if you was playing for the Minnesota Lynx. You do know that, right? If you was still on the Phoenix Mercury, you wouldn't be all on TV like this. You do know that, right? You do know if your ass was on the Atlanta Dream somewhere, if you was anywhere not next to Caitlin Clark, all of these opportunities wouldn't be popping.
Let's talk about the player who's suddenly impossible to avoid. Turn on the TV, and there she is in a brand new sneaker commercial. Flip over to morning television, and she's sitting right there being interviewed. Scroll through social media, and her face is everywhere. We're talking about Sophie Cunningham, and right now, she's having one of the wildest off seasons any bench player has ever had. And here's the thing, this isn't random luck. This is a fast, deliberate media takeover happening while the season is on pause. For a player coming off the bench, that alone should stop you in your tracks. So let's actually dig into why this is happening, because the answer says a lot more about business than it does about basketball. Here's the blunt version, and I don't think it's wrong at all. This kind of commercial run doesn't happen if she's wearing a Minnesota Lynx jersey. It doesn't happen in Phoenix. It doesn't happen in Atlanta either. Being next to Caitlin Clark is doing real, heavy lifting for every single one of these opportunities. Full stop. That's not shade on Cunningham's game. That's just how attention works in a league where one player is still pulling almost all of the mainstream spotlight. Think about it this way. If you're Indiana's front office, the pitch is simple. Pay her, and pay her specifically to stay next to Clark. Because that proximity is the actual engine behind everything. The sneaker deal, the morning show hits, all of it. Calling this smart business isn't just hype talk. It's a legitimate read on exactly where her value is coming from. And any front office paying attention should see it the same way. Picture it laid out plainly. She wants to get paid, and fair enough, she should. Indiana should pay her well. But the opportunities she's landing, they come from where she's standing. Take her away from Clark's side, and a big chunk of that magic disappears too. Now look at the sneaker campaign itself, because this detail is almost shocking when you notice it. The shoe belongs to Damian Lillard. His name is on it, but he's barely even in the ad. Instead, it's Sophie Cunningham's face carrying the entire campaign. Think about what that tells you. A brand looked at the marketing landscape and decided her personality was worth more right now than a signature athlete's own name. That's not a coincidence. That's Adidas making a calculated bet, and it's exactly why keeping her in Indiana matters just as much for business as it does for basketball. Now, before you write this off as just vibes and internet buzz, let's get into the actual basketball, because the numbers tell a story that the box score alone completely hides. Think of it like Lexi Hull. You can't judge total impact by just glancing at stats. Loose balls, extending possessions, diving for the ball, taking a charge, guarding the toughest scorer on the other team. None of that shows up on a stat sheet, but it wins basketball games. Cunningham brings that exact same unteachable toughness, and that's before you even get to what she's doing on offense. And offensively, she was quietly building towards something big before the injury hit. For the season, her numbers were modest. 9 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal per game. Not eye-popping on paper. But look closer at the stretch of games right before she went down. 17 points, then 8, then 18, 16, 14. That's not a fluke. That's a real, climbing trend. And that kind of trajectory is exactly what makes a front office nervous about letting a player like this walk away in free agency. Here's the number that really jumps off the page, though. Her three-point shooting. Across that stretch, she was hitting nearly 50% from deep, and in one single game, she caught fire and hit 80% of her threes. That level of shooting is elite for any player in the league, in any role. And in an Indiana offense built around Caitlin Clark, where floor spacing is everything, that kind of shooting is one of the most valuable, repeatable skills a bench player can offer. Numbers like that are exactly why just re-sign her isn't only a fan chant. It's the correct basketball move. But stats and shooting percentages still aren't the whole story. There's an intangible piece here too, and it matters more than people give it credit for. When things got physical and tensions boiled over, Cunningham was the one ready to step up and defend Clark. No hesitation. And be honest, this roster needs more of that edge. With all due respect, Aaliyah Boston isn't built for that kind of moment, and nobody expects Kelsey Mitchell to be either. Every serious playoff team needs a couple of players willing to be the enforcer when things get chippy. And losing the one player who's already proven she'll do exactly that. That's a real basketball cost, not just a locker room mood problem. Now, does that mean Indiana should hand her a max contract? No, and that's actually the fair, realistic version of this argument. You can absolutely make the case that she's worth keeping around without pretending she deserves max money. And honestly, that's the more convincing pitch for both sides to actually get a deal done. Because let's be real, national sneaker campaigns and morning show appearances don't happen for most role players. That leverage exists, and it cuts both ways at the negotiating table. Would any of these opportunities be happening if she wasn't standing right next to Caitlin Clark? Probably not. And that's worth being upfront about in any contract conversation. And this is where the story gets even bigger, because it's not just basketball, and it's not just one sneaker ad. She's out here talking football on national TV, repping her hometown Kansas City team during a big Monday night matchup. She turned a viral social media trend into an actual paid sponsorship with a fast food brand. She's running her own podcast. She's hosting her own girls' basketball camp back home in Columbia, Missouri. That's not just a basketball player picking up side gigs. That's a fully self-built media operation running at the same time. She's still a rotation piece on a legitimate playoff roster. And that combination, a bench player becoming this kind of nationwide personality, simply does not happen anywhere else in this league except right next to Caitlin Clark. So here's where this all lands. The joke going around that she's doing as much off-season work as Clark herself, hosting award shows, popping up at concerts. Sure, it's a joke. But jokes like that are usually pointing at something true. Her crossover appeal has gone way past typical league endorsement territory, and nobody else outside of Clark is anywhere close to that kind of reach right now. That's rare air, and it's worth remembering just how unusual that really is. So if you're Indiana, the math is simple. Pay her. Keep her next to Clark. Because the value she's creating, on the court and everywhere else, doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists because of where she stands. And if you're watching this thinking she deserves every bit of this attention, you're not wrong. So drop your take in the comments. Should Indiana lock her in long term? Or is this attention wave going to fade once the season starts back up? Hit like if you think Sophie Cunningham is the most underrated story in the league right now, and stick around, because this offseason is only getting started.